host, City Chaos, and you're watching Outside the Games with your host, Kevin Menton.
Well, we have Ava Chavarria. She's the class of 2022, catcher utility at EastLake High School in Chula Vista, California. And she does play for the club team OC Batbusters Lara 18U. Ava, welcome to our program, Outside the Games. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, awesome. Well, we always start off the show with family and the definition of it. How would you define family and why?
For me, I think family is everything to me. They give me everything in life. They provide me with food. They provide me with a home. They provide me with love. They always support me in everything I strive for. They help me in school. They're basically just like my whole, and like they just help me with everything.
That's big. And then parents, and you got siblings. So any siblings in the household?
I'm an only child, but I consider my dog my sibling.
There we go. The pet always makes a presence there. But your mom and dad, they play really important roles in your life as a student athlete. Explain, your dad. What does he do for you?
My dad supports me in everything with softball. He takes me to practices, games, training. He helps me work out at the gym, and I can ask him like, oh, can you help me hit, or can you help me throw? And he will always be there. And he helps me with everything, gives me tips, and help pushes me. And he supports me a lot in softball and also in school and every other part.
Nice. Great role that your dad plays. What about your mom? Because they each play different roles. Mom does a little different role there, tell me.
My mom, she's a little more challenging, but that's how I love it. And she provides me with food, always wants me to eat, always wants me to stay on, get my protein. And she helps me a lot in school, and she takes my friends around and we go different places. She provides a lot of love for me and everything.
It's so important about parents because those roles they play, you need them in your life, and so they play such an importance for you as a student athlete to perform on and off the field. I mean, that's the big thing there. Let's talk about mentorship. Mentorship is big. I mean, it's an extension of family. Explain who your mentors are and why. Why are they so important to you?
I think, of course, it'd be my parents because I always look up to them and everything that they do. But outside of family, I think one would be my catching coach, Sarah Hayes. I've been with her since I was, I believe, 12 years old. She's always helped me, pushed me, and she always made me get better. And she's she played at Notre Dame, and she coached D1, so she gives me a lot of insight tips and knowledge, and it helps a lot. I love her so much, and I've learned like coaching other little girls the way she taught me.
You remember that, don't you? You remember how you were young and how she really taught you, and you look at the progression that you've been able to see because you've had that training with her. It's been so important for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
Beautiful. Well, we get into like the student athletes, challenges, and especially getting to know you as a student athlete. Chula Vista, California, EastLake High School in California. Hey, take me through what EastLake High School is like. Take Outside the Games through that high school, through the corridors.
I think the community is really good where I am in Eastlake, and we have a really big school. We have around 3,000 plus students. So you'll always find a group, you'll always find someone. All the teachers are so nice and friendly, and everyone's helping, and the support staff is always there. They always want to get spirit, and it's just an amazing school, and all this programs, all the clubs we have, and you just always have someone there.
When we talk about academics as a student athlete, the student part of it, there's not one or without the other. They come together. And so the academic support at Eastlake High School, would you say it plays a huge role for the student athletes there at Eastlake High School?
I think it plays a really big role. Um, Academics can really like, since it's student athlete, it's always about the student first, and I think Eastlake has a really big part in that. They always have tutoring about each and every subject, and they always want to help you, and we make sure we have our grades on time just so we can be able to play, and we can take off time from practice to get our studies in, and all the coaches are fine with that because they want us to succeed in academics as well as our sport.
I think with outside the games, we always look at, sometimes a student athlete has a great relationship with their coach or their training coach. But you look at it that a student athlete has to have a good relationship with their academic counselor. There has to be a relationship there that they're checking in with their counselor, because that doesn't change. You go to college, same thing. There's support there for you academically. Do you have a good relationship with your academic counselors and you try to establish that good communication with them?
Yeah, I think I have a really good connection with my counselor. He's always asking me if I need help, and then he's asking about any academics in college or what I should focus on. And I can ask him if I'm interested in a certain major, he'll give me options of classes around in Eastlake, and he'll call to ask where I'm at. And I've asked to change classes, and he's totally fine with it. And he just asks why, and I give him an explanation, and he's super understanding.
Yeah, I think we don't talk a lot about academic counselors as we should, because I
Yeah.
think those individuals are game changers. When you talk about, you know, kind of resetting the student athlete and the student part of it, and what career path they want to go to, or what classes they could look at. Or you even said when you withdraw from a class and you want to take something else, they kind of reroute you. They can reroute you a little bit. So yeah, kudos to those academic counselors out there, the hard work they put in. Just with, we're going to go into the next teachers. Um, Take me through what your how important teachers are, and especially because we've dealt with COVID. We had to do with Zoom classes. You couldn't attend classes at high school, so there was that Zoom world that you had to get used to. Uh, Talk about your experience with, first of all, that COVID experience through Zoom. What was that like?
I think it was a little challenging at first because teachers had to get used to it because they usually taught all in person, and it was all now on Zoom or Google Meets. And I think it was a challenge for them, but also for the students because lots of students wouldn't have their cameras on, so they'd be talking to a blank screen. But I feel after the couple weeks, it was really good, and I liked the experience, and the teachers really helped, and they wanted us to learn. They tried their best to give us examples and try to be as visual as possible. They gave us lots of opportunities to move up a grade or help us as much as they can. And I think I took it more as this is preparing me for college if I want to take any online classes. So I think teachers helped a lot, and I put my camera on, and it was fun. They were super appreciative, and I could see the challenge, but they made it spot on.
That's the big thing, and I think people forget this, is that I heard this a lot from student athletes and from teachers, is in regards to keeping the camera on. That was a way of engagement between the teacher to the student. And I think sometimes people would just, now you understand, you got to take a break and you got to go get something to drink or something, and use the facilities, and come back. But I think the thing was is that teachers felt it just like the students did when it said, hey, you don't have your camera on, I can't have that interaction with you. It's a little bit harder for me to teach a lesson, let alone you trying to get something out of the lesson when the camera's not on, and you get more from it when it is on, right?
Yeah, I completely agree.
So looking at this teacher student relationship, what is it about the teacher that they have to possess in order for you to be a successful student? What are some characteristics they got to show?
I think a teacher should be understanding of things. Like if you have to be out, they should be understanding and help you get back on track. And I think they should really let us listen to us if we have any questions, and see if they can change around maybe their teaching style if we're a little more visual. visual learners or kinesthetic learners, auditory learners. They can always like change it to help the student or the class as a whole. I think um, giving us as much opportunities as possible to learn or understand things and get the best grade possible.
I mean, it's important, I think, for you, Ava, is to show that, I'm a student athlete. I need to represent me as student athletes as a whole to the teachers, because one student athlete can make it difficult for the others when you talk about that relationship with the teacher. Do you feel that being the case?
Yeah, I think it could happen sometimes. I know some things can some athlete could like put a teacher in a different way and they could like think of all athletes that way. But I feel like the biggest thing you can have with the teacher is a good relationship, especially as a student athlete, because you're going to be missing classes, you're going to be having practice and doing late homework. So you need to have a good connection with them so they can be understanding and you can learn the best you want and can.
What is it about you as a student, though? What do you have to possess, Ava, to kind of make sure that, I want to possess these qualities about me as a student, so the teacher can get the best out of you?
I think I need to be have good time management because of all the sports I have and all the practices, training, and I think I need to always ask questions and if I have something wrong. So I think I always want to be proactive in everything that I do, stay on top of everything, ask questions for understanding, and always ask for help.
No, that's important. I think that shows the teacher you're engaged, that you want to learn, you want to be in their class. I think that's the biggest thing. You look at teachers is the fact that they'll say, I just, they'll tell a student, I want to know that you want to be in my class. I want to know that you want to learn. So that is so big and important. I think as a student myself, at one time, I remember that as well. Those conversations and being successful in a class that you're taking. Ava, what is your favorite class that you like to take?
I think I have two favorite classes. I think my first one would be forensics and also cross age tutoring.
Wow, why forensics? That's the first time I've heard a student athlete say that. Take me through why you like that class.
I think it's super cool. We get to really like dive into all of the investigations and we get to learn all the cool things. My teacher really makes the class like a college course. He based grades off of proficiency and distinguished based on our how we do the task. And we get multiple tries to get better because he says in real life, you're going to have multiple tries and just to get the best that you can. And we get to look through microscopes, look at hair follicles we're doing right now, and we get to draw crime scenes. And I just think it's a really fun class, and it really like puts you in like what forensics actually does.
Wow, folks, Ava Chavarria, CSI Chula Vista. Be aware, it's coming. That's great. No, that's beautiful to see that you love a class and you're excited about it. Now, there's always the favorite classes, but what about, is there a least favorite class that Ava Chavarria is not feeling a little bit?
I think I almost like every class, surprisingly. um, let's see. I think maybe the least would be English, just because of all the writing, but I will think of that as college. I have to write a lot. In every job, you have to write a lot. So I don't think I have any that I dislike, but if a little iffy, I just will try to think of the positives.
What's so interesting, you bring up writing, right? And I remember as a college student athlete is that, when you take the writing class, there's the penmanship kind of a thing of writing, how the expository writing, the essay writing, how you write your style, the intro, the body, the conclusion of your writing. But everything's gone to computers. Your writing style maybe not be so much writing pencil or pen to paper. It can, but there's because you don't want to leave that. But there's also a lot when you talk about writing up an email, writing up uh, texting. I'll leave out of that because that's not, texting is texting. But when you talk about writing up an email, typing up maybe a resume, a cover letter, or some type of talk about having to write something with pen to paper versus typing out something. What comes easier for you, do you think?
I think what comes easier is typing it on the computer. I'm just a computer person, so it's a lot easier, and you have tools to help you. Like you on paper, you don't have like grammar check, you don't have all of that. Um, you don't have any help. But in computers, typing, it's a lot. I feel like a lot easier, and you have lots of more help from grammar and wording. And I just feel like it's just helps me and it's just easier.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, I tell you, we're here with Ava Chavarria. She is a class of 2022 softball athlete. Yes, we can't forget catcher utility, plays for OC Bad Busters, Lara 18U club team, EastLake High School out of California, Chula Vista. We'll be right back.
We've got your back, Road Warriors, because we know you want to get back to going your speed. Steering life at 10 and 2. You're prepared for this. And so are we. Soon, you'll get back to skipping the counter without missing a beat. Back to choosing any car in the aisle. Back to being the boss of you. Go National. Go like a pro.
I'd like to welcome everybody back to Outside the Games. Again, we have Ava Chavarria, class of 2022, softball player, catcher utility. And there is something of a little bit of volleyball, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, we won't forget that. We won't forget the volleyball. But she's out of Eastlake High School, California, Chula Vista, and then again plays for the club team, OC Baptisters, Lower 18U. Ava, we get into the aspect of what keeps you organized. We look at, your tools you use to be a great student, because you got to figure out, I need reminders for, homework, reminders for tests, planning, your training with, club team, or your training outside of the club team and softball. You got volleyball. See, there's that too. So explain to me, first of all, what tools do you use to be an effective student to keep you in line and being successful?
I think I always ask my teachers for help, for understanding. I always try to get my homework done as soon as possible. If I have free time in class, I try to start on it. And free time from home, I work on homework. I have everything organized. My mom helped me a lot in working on my time management, and she's really engraved that in me. So I feel my time management is really good now because of her. And I just know how to set times from putting homework on my calendar, events on my calendar, so I'm all set and ready to go.
You're a visual person, right? So you sometimes have to see things on a board, kind of get, say I got, or a lot of student athletes do this. They'll mark stuff off knowing that they've completed it so they can get on to the next. Is that you?
Yeah, I think I'm a very visual learner. I'm a very visual person. I like to mark things off like a to-do list. My mom has a to-do list on our board and we like check things off. I have calendars in my room to line everything up that I have. I use calendars on my phone. And with school, I always like to look at diagrams, pictures. I like to do my notes really nice, just so I can be the best that I can learning.
Yeah, the notes got to be, you ever do it where you write a note, you're taking notes, but then you can't even read the notes you put on there.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can happen. So you've gotten better at note taking. That's a skill in itself, definitely. With your tools that you use, is there times where you feel that when you are working at something, maybe there's a test coming up? How do you find a way to prepare for a test? Test taking is big. That's the challenge right there. What do you go into preparing for a test and doing that?
I prepare. I use different types of websites and tools to help me for memorization. I always use Quizlet. My mom always says you're the best at Quizlet. It's just flashcards, and I just keep looking and I do games. lots of like game stuff to get like a goal. I use like there's this quiz. It's like almost the same thing. I use different tools to help me have more fun while learning and getting prepared for the test. I look at pictures. Like I had a test yesterday for forensics, and I just looked up at pictures and everything, and I ended up passing. So it worked.
Great work. That's awesome to hear. Now, part of the student athlete challenge, there's a aspect of media. You know, when you talk about media, we talk about social media, right? And how a student athlete handles that. First of all, get your take on how important is social media and how you handle it. Is it an important thing to do and for a student athlete to handle it the right way?
Yes, I think it's very important because once you put something out there, it's going to be there forever. Even if you delete it, there could always be something of it. And I feel like it's really important to know what you're putting, know what can be seen by others and what they can perceive it as. And I think I look at other people's posts to see what they're doing and what's in the like most popular part right now. What can I be shown and what can I be like brought up about? So I use lots of like outside sources and other people's posts to help bring mine up.
Yeah, you bring up a good point though. When you talk about putting a post together, you kind of have to really think, and that's I think where writing comes into play. When you write, you think about what you're writing and what you're putting out there, because sometimes you put something out there and you go like, oh, that didn't sound right. I need to delete that. Well, there's this thing, folks, of called screenshotting. So once that thing gets posted, you screenshot that. That's a capture of his of time right there. So that's pretty big. With social media and how you handle media, how important would you look at Twitter? Twitter's been something that I think student athletes have been using. College coaches are using it. You know, some have said, you know, you want to make sure what you put on Twitter is something that you could share with the coaches or what you're doing. How do you use Twitter as being your main social media piece to let colleges know about you?
I think Twitter has been very big now since COVID. So many girls use it, and I use it a lot to showcase my softball skills. And I always try to do the best that I can show the coaches. I show hitting stats, hitting showcases, catching drills, basically what I think everyone would want to see college coaches, girls, basically anyone who wants to go on my page, they can learn something. And I could just showcase my skills to them.
That's awesome. No, I love to hear that. Really love to hear that. That shows a lot from you and being taking that seriously and how to use social media. That's big. Well, you know, thinking about you could remember, let's take a step back within, you know, your high school. You've been at Eastlake High School for what, 3 years now?
Yep, 3 years, almost four, since it's my senior year.
Right. So could you remember when you first stepped into Eastlake High School, how you felt stepping into a high school, learning the high school? You know, what was that experience like? You know, and especially you've kind of been there for going on 4 years now. Do you reflect back on what that time was like for you?
Yeah, I think I do reflect on it. I remember the first time I walked back in campus my freshman year, I was like, this is huge. And all these students everywhere, all crowded together. I was like, wow, this is a lot of people. But I think it was great because I know middle school, they were really strict on us and they're saying high school is going to be super hard. And I walked in and it was like so cool. And all the teachers were super nice, understanding. And it just felt good. It felt like I fit.
Yeah. What do you find challenging as a student athlete trying to balance being a student athlete and then playing volleyball? OC Batbusters, Laura 18U, Eastlake High School softball. I mean, and then you got to be a student and then you got to be a daughter. I mean, there's family. So take me through how hard is that balancing all of that?
I think it's hard, but I have worked a lot and I've really gotten used to it. I spend a lot of time with my family when I'm at home, especially since COVID. I was with them all the time. I find times to spend time with family, to do schoolwork, and to go to all my practices, games, and just get everything done.
with the fact that, you look at how we got through COVID, take me through, getting back into high school, finally getting into class. How was that experience? Because you were going from a Google Meets Zoom world, now you're coming back to class. Protocols are in place, right? So what was that experience like? Because the teachers have to be masked, you have to be masked, social distancing, sanitizing stations in the school. Take me about the experience.
I think it's a really different experience, but also a good opportunity because we finally get to be back in campus. We finally get to learn in person, especially for me since I'm a really visual learner. It helps me a lot to see teachers like show what it is, come up to you, you can ask questions. And it's great that I could be with people again. I can be with my friends, I can talk to teachers, and I just feel like it's a good experience, even if we have to wear masks, even if we have to have protocols. It's just, I feel it's a lot more fun and it's a good learning environment to be in person.
Yes, and I think the thing was too is that there was something, and we'll get into this later, but there was a challenging piece here with regards to games in softball, being able to play enough games, because pre-COVID, oh wow, 2 years of you playing softball. I mean, you had plenty of time to get some film, show some stuff. That's been something that's been challenged for a student athlete, is the fact that they don't have the film. Do you see that as being something that's been challenging for student athletes during COVID at the time?
Yeah, I think it really has, especially the time when lots of tournaments were getting canceled, games were getting canceled. It was super hard to get all the film and everything that you need. The only film we had was working up at home, but you can't really tell how our skills are in the game. So I think it was really hard, and I can tell it was also really hard for college coaches.
Wow, that, and I think now that we're turning the corner, where COVID-19 is kind of in the rearview mirror. Now we got the COVID variant. So there's been something else about that. How have you tried to protect yourself and others when dealing with, now potentially another COVID strain is out there?
I think we have taken this cautiously because we've already seen what COVID-19 has done, and we don't know what the variant can do and how bigger it can get. So I've always masked up everywhere I go. In school, I mask up, outside, inside. Teachers take really big precautions, and I always make sure to sanitize, wash my hands, and we always try to be as safe as possible and stay in a same group of people or people we know that are vaccinated or just know that they are okay.
Yeah, yes, I get it. Well, I'll tell you, I appreciate the fact that you've been able to get through these challenging times. Not easy. And I think we talk about student athletes all across the nation, though Texas and Florida had a little bit easy. Let's be clear about that. California, the West Coast, out here, it was like a little hard. But I think get kudos to you and the coaches and the teachers and the school and your parents and so many individuals involved in trying to get through this pandemic and really taking ownership. I think that's a big one. That word there, ownership, and being responsible to handle this the right way to keep people safe, and yourself and your family. I think that's been big. Well, we've been here with Ava Chavarria. She is a class of 2022 softball player, catcher, utility, EastLake High School out of Chula Vista, California. OC Batbusters, Lara, 18U, volleyball player. Oh no, we didn't forget about that, folks. We'll be right back to talk about that.
When your only competition is yourself, every challenge is only yours to lose or win. Theragun has changed the game for me. I'm Amanda Anisimova. I'm a professional tennis player from Miami, Florida. The Theragun is really good in the mornings because it helps increase blood flow and prepare for my practices, especially when I'm pretty sore from the previous day. After I finish my matches during a competition, I love using the Theragun because I've been running around for so many hours and it just relieves a lot of the tension and I'm ready to go the next day. You don't go into life only thinking about the win. You focus on making history. It's time to think bigger. I wouldn't trust anyone else but Theragun.
Back with Ava Chavarria, class of 2022, softball player, catcher utility at Eastlake High School, Chula Vista, OC Batbusters, Lara 18U. And I tell you, her GPA, we can't forget her GPA. What's that GPA?
4.06.
Woo, look at that, in the classrooms, not playing around. But we get into volleyball. Now, I ain't gonna, we could have talked about softball. We could have talked about OC Batbusters. We're gonna get into those. But volleyball. Why volleyball and playing that sport?
I think volleyball to me is just super fun sport, and it's really good spirited. We cheer all the time. I love the adrenaline, and you're always in the play. You can't like not think. You have to always focus, because if you like don't think about something for 1 second, the ball can come to you. And it's just small court, so you always have to be prepared. And the cheers we have, every single point we're cheering, every single point, even if we mess up, we always huddle, say it's okay. And I think just how much fun it is just really good.
It gets competitive, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Take me through an experience of volleyball where you made a great play. What was that play like, and what happened?
I think one of the plays I've made is I'm a libero, so I am a defensive person or defensive specialist. So my favorite plays that I make are all the diving plays, the saves behind the blocks. I pick it up so then we can continue the run and our hitters get a spike and everything. I love like picking up my team, making diving plays, and just keeping the play going.
Yeah, there's nothing like a volleyball match where there's adrenaline and the match is tied and you're going back and forth. It really tests a person's will to wanting to win. That's a big one. Well, I tell you, let's get into OC Batbusters, Lara 18U, the club team. Why that club team? What attracted you to that club team to want to play for them? Because I think sometimes for a student athlete, they play softball, they play volleyball for their high school, but then you incorporate a club team. It's a little extra work. There's a little extra time that you got to dedicate to that team. So take me through why that decision.
I think I love how much fun they have. They coach really good. They always helping us develop, and no matter how much they can practices, if we do something wrong, they'll always let us know, and they'll give us examples on how we can fix it and what that can do to help us and the team. And I just feel the coaches were super understanding, super fun, and they always wanted to push us. And a big thing was they had really good recruiting. They always got their girls recruited, and they will try the best that they can to get you the colleges and all the looks. And I think it was just a great team, and I just loved the girls, and everyone was just so nice.
And obviously there's a teaching moment for the coaches with you. There can be mechanics and where they kind of fine tune the mechanics a little bit. Do you find that, sometimes when you talk about club teams and we'll equate that to even like for football, for 7-on-7, then going to play for their high school. Same thing. I mean, it's a club team. You're going then to play for high school. Do you find that they work well together? Do you find that playing for a club team, the things that you're learning by the coaches, you can really put that in place in your high school, and that helps you become a better player?
Yeah, I completely agree. I use the things I learned from travel and practices and communicating to my high school. I help, sometimes I give ideas like maybe we can work at this as a team and to get us all better as a whole. And I use some of the ideas I get from the practices on my travel team. And I think it helps me a lot in communicating and being a leader, and also my team for high school.
Oh, beautiful. And you look at it, is that very, very competitive when we're talking about a club team as well, right? I mean, there's some matches which you play against other club teams, and the traveling, there's got to be a lot of traveling involved. Take me through what that traveling is like with your teammates.
I think we did a lot of traveling this summer. We went to Colorado, we went to Oklahoma City, and we went lots of places in California. And I think it was a great experience. I hung out with my teammates. We did team dinners. We went to like Top Golf, and it was just super fun experience, and everyone was so connected with each other, and we got to travel around just playing the sport we love.
Now, why? I think with 18U, there's some times for matches and tournaments that you play. Take me through an experience of a tournament you experienced with OC Batbusters Lara 18U. What was that tournament like, and how did you feel?
I think a good experience was Oklahoma City. It was our last tournament, and with all the seniors on our team, it was their last travel tournament. So I think it was a great experience. It was super competitive. It was the Alliance Championships, and so we were we had a little rocky start the first day, but then we were like on it the next couple of days. We were just kept winning, like winning streak, and we made it really far in the Q bracket. And I think it was a great experience with the girls. I made great connections, and I'm gonna miss them so much. And I think we played our hearts out.
I think that's something there for me, Ava, is that you build relationships with the girls, and I think the thing is that when they go, this is the most. I think this is the coolest thing ever, is that you've built that relationship, but then when you find out they go to what these different colleges, and you see them, you're like, remember when? There's always that situation. Is that the coolest thing ever?
Yeah, I think it is. I see from girls from my high school, girls from other teams I played. I look at them now in college on ESPN. I'm like, I knew who you were. I played against you. And I think it's great to see that. I'm super excited to watch all the girls that were on my team play this year. And I'm super excited. I'm going to cheer them on.
That's so cool. I love it. I love it. Why softball? Let's take a step back and look at it as why the game of softball. I mean, you play volleyball, but there's something about softball that you were passionate about, that you gravitated to, and your parents probably said, "Hey, this sounds like a good sport that you can play and you're pretty good at, right?" Uh,
Yeah.
so take me through why softball. Why that sport?
I think I've always just loved softball since I was little. I think I just love the competition, the team effort. Since I'm an only child, the team provided me like another family. And I think the girls support each other so much. And there's a good team aspect, but you also even have a chance of being an individual based on hitting. This is your time to showcase and also help your team. But I feel like there's lots of different aspects in it that just makes me love the sport, with the cheers, the adrenaline, neck and neck games, and just everything about the sport I love.
And we're going to get into the kind of the training aspect, but what your catcher utility? That's your position. Why those positions, and why you feel they're your strength?
I think catching is my strength. I love catching so much. I'm a part of the game every single pitch, just every play. I love it so much. I love helping my pitcher get frames. I love framing and getting balls into strikes. That's my favorite thing to do. And I love throwing girls out, slowing their running game. And I just think the adrenaline about catching is just unreal. I love it so much. And utility, I've played almost every single position. I've tried pitching, wasn't my thing, but I just love it so much. I love having as many positions that I can do to help the team. You can put me anywhere and I'll play it, and anything to do to help.
Yeah, let's look at catching. So catching is such an important piece because there's a couple things. One is you got to the umpire right above you who's calling strikes and balls, right? So the framing that you talk about is that little square, right? And that pitcher trying to get it there where it needs to go to get that strike call. I see a lot of times with training, your position and how you crouch, but then also too getting the ball where it needs to go if you're trying to throw somebody out, then making sure that the ball's getting in a good spot. And it's the way that ball, that pitch can be over here, but you kind of bring it in sometimes, don't you, to get that strike call? Talk me through the mechanics as far as the catching.
Yeah, I think framing's a really big thing, and it helps the pitcher a lot. And I feel like I use lots of the baseball method, or the baseball catching. I kind of make my own baseball and softball combined. I like to bring up pitches. I tend to start my glove lower so I can easily bring low pitches higher up in the strike zone. and I try to get around the ball, nose behind the ball to make it look that I'm like framing it, getting it there. And with throwing girls out, you always gotta make that your shoulders are on line and get a strong and accurate throw.
Hey, take me through. I want to go inside the game now. We're outside the games, but I want to go inside the game. That batter, you're the catcher. Is there a little bit of conversation going back and forth sometimes between the batter and the catcher a little bit?
There can be at times. I can hear some girls saying stuff about, oh, that was a good pitch. I'm like, yeah, that was a good pitch. Or I was like, oh, that wasn't supposed to be there, but it worked. But I think some of the conversations I have are pretty interesting and cool. And also even the conversations with the umpire. I love talking with the umpires, and they just ask me where I play, where I'm from, and I just love it.
And I think there's a little bit of this sometimes when you catch an umpire going, girl, that was great stuff.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like really good when they compliment me. They're like, good throw, or that was a really good play. I'm like, thanks, I really appreciate it, because it's really good to hear an umpire that's behind you almost all the time compliment you. And you always want to thank them for umping. You always want to greet yourself and just have a good connection with them for the entire game, because it can help you and it can help the team.
Yeah, umpires, we don't leave you alone. I think you play an important part to enroll in a student athlete's performance and about who they are, and to give them a little bit of confidence. I think that's big, and so they play a role. Yeah, they do. They may call balls and strikes and outs, but they do make some. They play an important role for sure. So with softball, did you find that with the position, what are your strengths with regards to softball? What are you good at currently in the game?
I think I've been really good at my catching. I've framed. That's my favorite thing to do, of course. And I love throwing runners out. I think my communication is really good. I love communicating out to my pitcher, making them know they're okay, communicating on plays. I think that has been my biggest strength, and especially my catching has been dialed in, and I've been hitting in the gaps and everything.
What is the student athletes, sometimes they don't like to talk about weaknesses, right? Who does, right? But there is sometimes weaknesses that you can improve on, and there's some improvements you can make. You look at video or whatever in kind of tactical way, and in a tactical way, you can look at that video and break it down. Like, hey, I can improve this and that. What are some things you could improve in?
I think that I've been improving a lot since COVID started. I've kind of got into that little like headspace where it's like, oh, I'm not in my recruiting. It's all shut down because of COVID, and I've just been getting in my head. But I feel like I've improved a lot on that. I've worked with my parents, with coaches. I've talked to teammates. I've talked to girls who've gone through the same thing, and I feel like I improved a lot on it. And I feel like I'm just getting better and better every game. And with hitting, I'm always looking at film, always like trying to critique things, what I can think about in the box, trying to have a good routine, take deep breaths and everything.
With you, as far as that because of the strengths and weaknesses, they work together, and you improve on those weaknesses to be a better player. Is there something about training, when you look at training the body? I mean, you look at all the anatomy of your body in a sense of, strength, power, speed. How do you train those parts of your body to make sure they deliver when you talk about competing in your sport?
Yeah, I always make sure to do exercises and workouts that will help in softball, that will help in the game, and try to I make sure to do core, because cores can be in everything, with hitting, with throwing, with catching. And I go up to DA sometimes, which is our organization's workout area, and I think they help a lot on that. They have lots of exercises that'll help us in softball, and I take that to where I'm from and go to my gym and do the same thing. And lots of things I use are to help in that sport, with my arm, with my legs, with my footwork, and everything. Workouts will be based on softball.
So for a catcher, core is the center. That's an important piece, because you are throwing somebody out. You are having to crouch in that position, which my goodness, I could not stay there that long. I feel you're going to have to help me get up, if I'm in that position a while. But the core plays such an important piece to all the different facets of being a catcher, doesn't it?
Yeah, I completely agree. Core is everything, especially also your legs. You have to stay up for the whole time, and you got to make sure to get around the ball because you got to keep your core tight, especially blocking. Got to keep your core tight to block the ball and get it over with. And athleticism, you always have to be athletic. And also, I think I forgot my strength would be my athleticism. I always try to like jump and get balls and move around everywhere I can to get as far as possible, but core is also everything.
And there's the thing about upper body too. You look at this, the muscles and your biceps, triceps, and things of that sort. Is there something upper body you're also doing to keep strong there? Because when you're trying to make that throw, you need that strength from that shoulder to your arm and your bicep, tricep to throw.
Yeah, for sure. I always try to do pull downs, something with my chest and my arms to get the strength. I use the heavy ball with my dad all the time. When we throw, I throw with a softball and then I go with the 12-pound heavy ball to get my strength up. And I think that has helped me a lot in throwing. And it gets adds a couple miles to your throw. And just if you keep working on it, you'll get stronger and stronger. And that's what I did.
So Ava Chavarria, she is in the gym. That a place that you try to spend some of your time in sculpting your body to be able to play your sport? Because you got volleyball and softball. So is that something you do?
Yeah, I love going to the gym. I go 3 days a week. I go down here, but also my parents take me up 2 hours up to the facility, and I go do fielding classes with Mike Stith, and I do workouts with DA. Everything I can do to enhance my body and softball and volleyball, and to keep me in shape. I just love it. I just love working out.
There's something about nutrition for a student athlete. We had a person on our show, the Coaches Lobby on Instagram, but we talked a little bit about nutrition for a student athlete. How important does nutrition play in your role in being the best athlete you can?
I think nutrition is a big thing because you can work out, but you sometimes won't eat good. But you need to work out, eat good, and stay on top of everything. Make sure you have a plan. If you're not really good at choosing good food, you can ask for help. Like my mom helps me a lot with my nutrition. She always wants to get me my protein, buys me things that'll help me and what I can use. And I can even make a plan that I can do for each week, what I can eat, some different ideas. If I want to go out, where can I eat that will be good for me?
Of course, Ava Chavarria, there are times where you have a little bit of a urge to have something that's, maybe not as nutritious. I mean, let's be clear, right? That happens.
Yeah. I just love, sometimes I like going to fast food or to some different restaurants because the flavor is just spot on.
Right, exactly. Well, we get into EastLake High School, the Titans out of Chula Vista, California. Take me through what that softball team is like and those coaches.
I think the softball program is great. We have a great competition. We're D1, open division, and I think we've had lots of great competition, great players, great team, and we're about getting a new facility right now at the moment. So I'm super excited about that, and we're gonna get a new field and just make it top notch. And we're gonna have a really good team this year, and I think we're gonna be on top because we have a really good pitcher, we got great fielders, great hitters, and just the coaching is really great.
I tell you, outside the games wants to see that field. You got us excited to kind of see what those facilities are going to look like here soon. We got to definitely check that out. Your conference, the conference you play in, right, for EastLake, what seems to be the hardest team you face in that conference?
I think the hardest competition or the hardest team we face throughout the entire time would be Modern Day Catholic High School. That's always been our rivals. We've had rivals with Bonita Vista as well, which is also our top, but the biggest team would be Modern Day. They've won the open division almost every single year, and we've just been neck and neck with them. last year we actually beat them one game, so we were super happy about that. It was a great game, and I think we're always neck and neck because they always have great competition, great pitching, and like they're coached really well.
I mean, what else can the Monarchs do, right? So, they're on every level. Mater Dei is something special over there in California.
Yeah.
With Eastlake High School, though, when you look at competition, and now hopefully with COVID, hopefully there's no canceling of tournaments and games. What do you want to get out of this season with Eastlake High School, the Titans?
I think I just want the season to be the best one yet, since it's going to be my last year. And I feel like I'm going to put as much as the heart I have in it as possible, give it the best that I can every single play in practice, give it 100% no matter what. Always make a play as best as I can be, see if I can get better. I want to make the team just great, have a great connection with the girls, have a great time. I just want it to be the best season ever.
Yeah.
And win CIF.
Yes, and win CIF. That's huge. You want some hardware.
Yes.
I get it.
Going for that.
Right. You just get size. She wants to get size that ring. It's something you say about your senior year. It's a special year. And not only academically as a student, 4.06 GPA, but I think the thing is that you want to go out on top. That's something you want to leave as your legacy, your own legacy, is that you guys did it. You girls have done it on that level in girls softball. What are your teammates like? Because how do they support you to be the best, Ava?
I think my teammates support me a lot. They support me in school. They support me on the field. They support me in everything. I always check on them and they always check on me, even when we're not in softball. I think the team is just great. The girls are always we're all fun. We always like to do team bonding. We like to do everything. And we always want to support each other on the field, make yourselves get better. If we see someone needs help, we'll give them tips. And no one will be angry. We all just go with it and just try to make the team as best as possible and ourselves.
And let's be clear, film room is important. I mean, there's got to be film on your softball games, but also too, coach doesn't play, right? Coach is serious. I'm sure he wants to win a state title as well, right?
Yeah, I completely agree. Especially this year, we're all running for the CIF. We're all running for the ring. We're going to do as much as we can to practice, to prepare, and everything.
Well, that's beautiful. Well, I tell you, it's been a pleasure to have you, Ava Chavarria, class of 2022, 4.06 GPA, doing it in the classroom. Volleyball player, defensive specialist, catch utility softball, OC Batbusters Lara, 18U, EastLake High School, Chula Vista High School in California. What is it you can't do, right? I mean, come on, you're doing a lot of things academically and in your sport. We appreciate having you on Outside the Games. It's been a special time with you.
Yeah, I had a great time. Thank you for inviting me. It was super fun.
I love it. Well, we're not done. We have this thing called the Quick Blitz. Yes, Ava, we get to know you on a more personal level. Favorite food?
Pizza. I love pizza.
Favorite dessert?
I would say chocolate cake.
Okay. Last movie you just saw?
I watched The Suicide Squad.
Ooh, okay. Favorite cleat to wear?
New Balance, white.
Favorite glove?
The A2000.
Favorite musical artist?
I don't think I have a favorite, but I think I'm into pop. Maybe Harry Styles.
Okay. Favorite casual shoe to wear? You just casually going out?
I like my white Vans slides or the white Air Force Ones.
Well, that's got to be a struggle, keeping things marked. Marks. I know you have shoe protector. You got to clean. I know you do. That's good. That's important. Apple or Android, and why?
I think I like Apple. I've always had Apple. I think it's just great because of the iCloud. You can sync everything, especially since I have a MacBook Pro and I have my phone. So everything's synced together with the phone and with my photos, and everything can be accessed together. Apple's my favorite.
Apple gang. Okay. I got it. To get serious on a point here, if you were running late somewhere and you had to let somebody know something why you're late, would you call or text and why?
I think it would depend on the situation. If I'm driving, of course, I think I would probably ask someone to text them for me. Or I think if I want to get the message out fast, I would text because it's just easier for me. And I think calling would be if it's like a really serious, or if I just can't like get on my phone, I just call real quick.
That's great. That's great. Favorite car if you could drive any kind of car or SUV for Ava Chavarria?
I think my favorite car would be the old Bronco. I think those are really cool. The new Broncos are cool. I like those. Those are cute. But the old Broncos are really nice. And I've seen videos and they just look really cool, especially the green or blue ones. Those ones are the best.
If you were traveling somewhere, anywhere you wanted to go, where would that place be that you'd want to visit?
I think I'd want to visit Paris and like Italy, because I think it's super cool, like just the vibe over there, and like just France. I think I want to visit the Eiffel Tower, and like I just think it's super cool and like super cool area.
If you could change one thing in the world today and have an impact on it in some positive way, what would that one thing be?
I think I'd want everyone to treat people with kindness and respect. Everyone to treat each other like fairly. And I know that's kind of hard to ask, but I feel like if we all did that, the world would just be a lot better, and we'll be able to get through things more easier, quicker, and it'll just be a lot happier and friendly world.
So true. Last question. And I know you'll get it right because you're going to be a senior. You are smarter, 4.06 GPA, smart on the field and in your sports, about the school. It's what you would prefer. You got to choose one. Would you prefer a brand new pair of Vans? Go out on a town, you come back, take them off your feet, and you see a scuff mark. Oh no! Or would you prefer on being on Outside the Game Show?
The Outside the Game Show. I think that's way above top notch.
There we go. Yes, Ava Chavarria, we appreciate you very much for coming under our program on Outside the Games. Again, where it's about the student athlete, academics, character, on and off the field, what they do. Share with us a little bit though, what you do in the community. How do you make the community better as far as maybe your team, maybe the club team? What does Ava Chavarria do to help the community?
I think I try to help as much as possible. My mom does lots of volunteering. I try to do the same thing. I try to do lots of team bonding, try to make sure some girls wants to go together and do so many fun things. I try to ask my coach if I can help with anything, and just as much as I can to help girls play, girls get better, or if we need anything like supplies or anything I can do to help, I'll be there.
Love to be on our show. So thank you again for coming on Outside the Games. We appreciate what you're doing as a student athlete at EastLake High School, Chula Vista, California. Again, with your club team. I know your parents appreciate you as their daughter. And again, we look for great things from you. We hope for you to get a state title. I know you want to win one of those for your high school and close out your senior year right.
Yes, I think that will happen. I'm shooting for it.
Pleasure to have you on our show again. This has been Ava Chavarria, class of 2022 GPA 4.06 with EastLake High School in Chula Vista, California. She's catcher, utility, a softball player, defensive specialist, and a volleyball player. We didn't leave that out. Bad Busters Lara, 18U. thank you so much for being on our show.
Hey, this is Ariana Silva, and you've been watching Outside the Games.